We are live, Charles.
Yes, we are. We are.
How are
We
you,
are.
Charles?
Well, aloha, everyone. Good evening. We want to welcome you on this beautiful Saturday. It is the 16th of May. It's approximately 7 p.m. We're on time and right on the button tonight, Mel.
Happy Aloha Friday, everybody.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's Saturday.
It's Friday, Charles.
No, it's Saturday, May 16th.
No, it's May 16th, but it's Friday.
No, Friday was yesterday. Check your calendar,
Oh,
Mel.
that would make today Sunday then,
No, today is Saturday. Friday was the 15th.
right?
Today's the 16th.
You gotta excuse me. I'd actually work in the garden today. You know, Charles, I
Yes.
figured I'm gonna try. I did my first planting a while back, and I was so proud of that. And we got a couple of carrots out of that thing. I had to pull the corn out because the corn was sucking. I learned later from a farmer that the corn sucks all the nutrients out of the. We got 4x4 raised bed in cedar wood, and one of the farmers said you cannot put corn in there because it sucks. It takes too much of the nutrients out of the ground. So I had to pull that thing. And but what else we got? We got some lettuce. We got some lettuce out of that thing. The what? Oh yeah, we had Pat said put some mint in there. We got a lot of mint. We never did use them, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So I had go today. I've been had my second planting in, and then I found out that the chickens, that doggone chickens, is coming around and eating my plants. So I had some beautiful bell peppers growing, and I noticed that slowly by slowly was disappearing. And I was thinking, what the heck? But it's the chickens. I thought it was some kind of bugs, but no, it's the chickens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be on a warpath pretty soon and getting rid of the damn chickens. So frustrating. But so I was in the yard today and I had to go buy a new water hose and the water, brand new water hose, brand new. Just bought them this morning from Ace Hardware. Put on my nozzle, the nozzle for water the yard.
Yep.
The pressure, the pressure, just the regular pressure. And I'm on high powered line. Had blow the nozzle right off the hose. Broke the whole thing. It separate. So I almost gave up farming today. But we went to Ace and got him in and hey, I gotta tell you, I bought him in Lihui Ace. I took him to Kapa Ace, no problem. Very nice employee. Yeah, but I almost hung it up, man. Almost hung it up. I think I'm gonna take up ranching next. I think we're gonna get some chickens. I think we're gonna get some
No,
some egg laying hens.
no.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, I'm going to tell you something. Take it from me. You like one water hose. At night, when all the firemen sleeping, go take one of their hose from their trucks. Guarantee not going to
Chicken papaya action, I tell you. I tell you. It's not a bazooka, Angie. It was a regular water hose. And you know where the part you screw on the nozzle? It's supposed to be secured to the rubber hose. This one, that assembly line, they forget put the adhesive or the clamp. It's just like a loud and the thing will fly off. Anyway, look,
Angie, Mel buy one straw. That's why the thing would blow.
it was a nice water hose, but it was on sale. I'll never buy it on sale again.
Shoot.
Oh boy, I tell you. But anyway, aside from that, we had to go out today, deliver some shirts. And no worry, guys, if you'd order your shirts, um, we're gonna get to you. We've had a lot of shirts. We sold about 300 shirts, and Kirk Correa, Island Athletic Tees. I gotta tell you, man, hats
Yeah.
off to that guy. He's filling these orders as quick as he can, and Patsy, she bags them individually with your name on top, and then Charlie and I go out and deliver. Charlie hit the west side today. I did Kapali
Yep.
in Anahola.
Yep.
We've shipped out to Idaho, Oklahoma, New York, Texas, Washington. So thank you guys all. We are about, in fact, not about, we are $600 away from our goal. We have,
Yes.
and that includes some donations. Some people donated, some very generous people donated, but we are $600 away from our goal of $5,000. So, ladies and gentlemen, and just remember, when we hit the 5,000, it's over. This shirt will be no longer around and available. Don't be
Yep.
a doodle boy. Order your shirts now while you still can.
Yep.
Remember, send me the sizes in Messenger. Don't put them in the comments because we tend to miss some. $15 for the Doodle Boy shirt, and you get it delivered to you. And again, Kirk Korea Island Athletic Tees, 100% of the all of that $15 per shirt goes to Hawaii Community Foundation. So get them now, because I can tell you that's $600. We should raise that, if not tonight, within the next couple of days, 2 to 3 days, and then the shirts are done, and we're going.
These are collector's items. We already
Absolutely.
got call. We already got calls from the Smithsonian Institute because it's going to be one of a kind. They want to put that shirt up in the museum next to the Sphinx, and next to the Mummy and Alibaba. So get your shirt while you can. Get your shirt while you can.
It's amazing what has happened with this shirt. It's amazing what has happened with this shirt. And I told this story so many times, but when Kirk came to tell me or suggest that we sell a Charlie and Mel shirt, I thought he was nuts. But we sold way over 100 shirts, and then the Doodle Boy thing came up, and then the Okole Puka came up the other night. And what we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna go and recap basically the week. We'll go through. Tina Yamaki came up with the Okole Puka, and I see some of you guys already asking for the Okole Puka shirt. So you know what? You call Kirk Korea directly at Island Athletic Tees, and you can buy it from Kirk. He'll design it and he'll print it and he'll charge you for it. And that'd be a good way to pay back Kirk Korea. He can sell that and try to get some of his money back. But by the time this is all said and done, he's gonna have donated probably 400 shirts at his cost, his time, his labor. So mahalo, Kirk, again. Island Athletic Tees. What an amazing little fundraiser we did, and again, $5,000 to Hawaii Community Foundation on the Kauai Strong Fund. That's going to go for Kauai only, and it's not going to go to the state. But anyway, so don't forget that, all right? And then share this thing. If you guys enjoying yourself, share this thing. Start a watch party. We are blessed, Charles. You and I are blessed to have so many friends, so many new friends. Many old friends, but what started out as something we were going to do for a couple of nights a week, turned out to be something that has gone on for almost 2 months, I think now. And I was going back looking at my YouTube videos just to see who we had on, and my God, we've had so many people on, so many informative people, so many influential people, and we're not going to stop. But we are also thinking about a transition, what we're going to do after the COVID is done, because we still want to hang out, we still want to inform and educate. So obviously you guys will be the first to know. So anyway,
well,
all right.
I tell you something. There are a lot of subject matters that we can talk about, but I think with COVID, because it was so new, and like I said before, I took a personal stake in this because of what happened to my brother. And it's not only that, but the virus in itself is very interesting on how it started to move into the communities and how it basically disabled a lot of individuals. Now, granted, there are a lot of recoveries made, but what people don't know about those recoveries, some of the recoveries, they have lasting scars like lung damage, kidney damage, as well as some heart issues. And even though they're over the hurdle about it, they're still going to have to be living with those disabilities. And that's something that the regular influenza, the regular flu doesn't. And there are a lot of things that we learned along the way that made it very, very, it was mysterious in a way. It was almost like a murder mystery. You're trying to find out where the heck is this thing going? And yet along the way, we had those who were the naysayers. And again, folks, I'm not giving them a shout out, but I am recognizing the fact they have their own opinion. But yet at the same token, today, 88,000, I believe, I read the number, 88,000 people gave their lives to this virus. And, a lot of people say, well, the recovery is this, recovery that, the number of deaths are small. Well, that's easy for you to say because you're not the one dead. Plain and simple. And I wish, every one of those 88,000 could have lived out their life expectancy, but it got cut short because of this virus. That's why we give out the information that we do, so you understand. It's almost like letting a child go into a gun store, and leaving all the guns loaded. The child doesn't know any better. But I think what we're doing is we're trying to arm you so you know better what to stay away from. So today, I had an opportunity to deliver shirts for Mel. He gave me the box of shirts, and I tell you, it was such a blessing. I got to meet a lot of people. We had a lot of nice comments. I went to this one boy from Chiefis, and he just wanted to take a picture with either Mel or I, and I was available because I delivered his shirt. He's in the 7th grade. I believe his name is David Barman. His dad is Jim and Vicky. And we took a picture today, and I was so impressed with him. The kid is a bright kid. So I told Mel, hey, Mel, we're going to put this kid on air with us. Maybe we should talk to the young ones, what they've been doing during this downtime. But it was just an opportunity to meet everybody. It was so nice. I had a great time, Mel. So it's one of those things.
I saw a picture. Who sent that picture?
Morgan.
Is that the same kid? Yeah, Morgan Moises, one of our guests. She was on with HLTA early on, and anyway, she sent us the picture. Is this the same kid? Oh yeah, this is the same kid. Hang on. I don't know if you can see that or not, but
yep, that's the same boy.
Proud. He's so proud wearing that shirt, and it's hard to tell, but
that's it.
Amazing.
Yep.
Damn, we're stars, Chucky.
Yeah. We try to.
I know you guys are all our friends. I just want we got my dad is on here from Washington State. He's up in Washington. We got Cindy from Austin, Texas. Roland from Houston, Texas, and there's probably many more. So aloha, you guys, and thank you for joining us. And again, keep coming on, and we just want to kind of recap what we have over the last week. We've had a bunch of people, and we can start with last night and work backwards. But last night we had Dexter Kishida. No one knew who Dexter Kishida was. Charlie did, but I had no clue. Most of you out there probably didn't know who he was. And then we had him on last night, and wow, what a story! What they're doing with our kids, the Department of Education, the school branch, the food branch is incredible. 700,000 meals since March. It's been about 2 months. I think he said
March 23rd.
Yeah,
March 23rd.
Just about 2 months, 700,000 meals. Incredible. And just what he talked about, what they go through, what they had to go through, the regulations, just the safety and the health, the FDA regulations, Department of Health regulations. But even having all that like this, they have to put this together and get the food out to the kids. 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. Amazing stuff. And thanks, Charlie, for getting him on last night.
My pleasure. Because you know why, Mel? Because of the story. For those of you that are just joining us and didn't get to see last night segment, you can go on Mel's YouTube channel, because he uploads everything after each segment. But what we talked about last night was the fact that meals, the children, sometimes the only meal they have because of due to financial hardships or whatever the case may be. The only meal they have is a meal at school. And so I brought on Dexter because Dexter, along with Senator Ron Kochi, the Senate president from Kauai, and First Lady Dawn Ige, they really pushed the program about the farm to school. And because of that, they were able to get monies from the USDA to launch this program because, as you know, COVID closed the schools, right? It closed everything down. But they were able to keep the school cafeterias open throughout the state. And if the child is 18 years or less, and 18 to 22, if you're disabled in that range, they can go and pick up 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. So what they were doing is they was attacking the fact that children that couldn't eat during this period of time, they wanted to make sure that a child gets fed. And that's the reason why I brought him on.
Yeah, so mahalo to all of those guys. You know, we bring people on and you know, they're one person, but you know, they got a team that just all of those workers that we're thinking about that last night, all of the workers just getting a place ready to handle that amount of meals on a takeout basis is just incredible. So yeah, much mahalo to the state for that. You know, there was, I was impressed. I gotta say, I was impressed, and it was fun too last night. And then we had the night before that, we had Representative Val Okimoto and her 2 staff members. That was another pretty interesting night. Val, what a little firecracker, Kauai girl, school teacher by trade, and her 2 staff members came up, and it was pretty cool listening to the staff share about what it is like working with a representative or working as a staff member. So that was pretty interesting. But again, you know, the discussion, well, we had a few topics, but we talked about the prison release program. We talked about the need for testing. And I know a lot of you folks, I see not a lot, but some of you folks post up about, you know, we talk about the same things over and over and over. And the whole idea is, you know, hopefully people are listening. You know, we've had Senator Kochi on several times. We've had the Senate COVID committee members on several times. But, you know, our whole purpose is to get and you know, what we discuss comes from, I keep looking down because I'm looking at the comments. And Senator Kochi is on. I guess Charlie cannot mention his First Lady, Stephanie, and how much she has worked with him to make it happen. Yes, Stephanie Iona, Charlie's wife, has been very instrumental, worked very, very, very hard with Senator Kochi and the First Lady, Ige. So yeah, you know, you better go thank your wife, Charlie. You talk about everybody else but your wife.
I am so proud of her. You know, for all of you out there, the viewers, especially for you men who have a strong wife, I am the luckiest guy in the world.
I am, Charlie. I am.
Yeah,
Sorry, I am.
You are too. Because, you know, my wife, she was the one that kept on encouraging me when I went under the knife to please be confident because, you know, not knowing that my heart was going to stop twice on the table. But she says, you know, honey, don't you leave me and the kids now. And I'm here. I'm here. So for you guys out there, you all have your queens. You take good care of them. Yep, you take good care of them.
Thank you, Senator Kochi, for bringing that up. So again, you know, we talk a lot about the same issues because those are the issues that for some reason cannot get resolved. You know, we're still battling with quarantine. We're still battling with testing. We're still battling with prisoners released. So, you know, as often as we can, and when we can get people on to share the insights, and people that actually have a stake and actually can make a difference. You know, Senator Kochi said he's the luckiest guy. We're all lucky. You know, my wife Patsy is amazing. You know, aside from being an amazing baker and amazing cook, and you know, she's the one that sorts out all these shirts for us to go deliver. But anyway,
my wife
was
actually a science teacher. You know that? My wife was actually a science teacher. She taught science. She was the first one that taught me how to burn water. So that's why I cook every night. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna,
know, you
I'm gonna
notice,
give a, I'm gonna give a doodle boy look right now. Uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble.
when Charlie is on. See, my wife is right here. She's right next to me. But Charlie, you notice his door is closed and locked.
Yes.
And the wife, when Charlie told me that story, Mel, I gotta lock the door. I gotta lock the door. Otherwise, she gonna come in with one. We don't look. My wife there. You see, that's her. You see her? She gonna come in with the frying pan and whack me on the head. Oh wow. Woo. Behind
Hey,
every
bro,
successful
that,
man is a
that's
successful woman.
that's why I get scared when my wife is consuming watching movies like SWAT. I know she's learning tactics on how to break this door down. That's why I
Hey, let
don't
me tell you
stand
a
by right
secret,
now.
Charlie. Let me tell you a secret right now. Your wife is on. I just saw her.
I know
She's
I saw
on.
her.
All right. Hey, Chucky, what's up, buddy? Your wife said he cannot help himself. All right. And then the night before, we had Gene Ward and Bob McDermott, two of the House members. And again, all on the same page about the importance of opening our economy, the importance of opening up our businesses, the importance of opening up tourism. However, not until we can ensure safety of our local residents. That was very, very refreshing. Those two are Republicans. So, this is a nonpartisan show. This is not a partisan show. We don't give a rat's butt if you're a Democrat or Republican. We don't. And we just care about what you guys care about, what you guys can do for us. But was very pleased to hear the same message coming from both sides of the aisle on both sides of the houses, the Senate and the House. So, and it was quite amazing. Bob McDermott's battery had died. I wanted to tell him, brother, you know, unplug, but apparently he no plug. But Eva Beach, from Eva Beach, I think he
Yeah.
reminded me kind of like Favela, because we've had Senator Favela on as well. The kind of same mannerisms, kind of same, gruffy old voice, but it was awesome. It was awesome. And again, as you see, the state is slowly opening up. The counties are slowly opening up. Mayor Kawakami opened up the beaches. I saw a bunch of pictures today. People are sending and posting, and I think for the most part, people are practicing the social distancing. They're complying with the 10 or less, same household. But just be aware that if we abuse that, Derek has stated it so many times, but he's making this a pilot project. If we abuse it, it's not going to continue. Okay, so keep that in mind. This thing is going to open up slowly, and it's going to be up to us whether we want to see it. We want it to take forever, or we want it to get to normal as quick as we can. But some of those pictures I saw, there was some obvious violations. You guys got to be careful out there, people. I'm telling you, because the mayor ain't afraid to clip it, and he said he would, and I have no doubt that he will. So please, 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 just comply. Just comply. Don't ruin it for everyone.
Well, Mel, I think what the people know and what we need to just remind them of one thing, and that is, remember in the beginning on some of our earlier guests, when we started to talk about tracing and talk about why it was important that when someone is infected, the investigator talks to the infected one, and the infected one can just give that investigator only the names that they know. They couldn't give any names around them, and how we wanted so badly for information to get released, not names, but just locations where they may have been at any given specific time. Remember that?
Oh.
And it was hard to deal with, but yet look at it now. Now we fast forward almost 7 weeks later, and that's the kind of stuff they talk about in contact tracing. So it was something that we latched onto, something that made sense back then, but for all the powers that may be, they didn't think was a big deal. Now it's a big deal. And it seems even harder for them to grasp onto it now for some reason. And you remember we talked about, hey, why don't we look? The suggestion came from one of our friends about, hey, why not use retired police officers, because it doesn't cost them much. You don't have to pay for benefits. You don't have to do all of that, right? Bingo. We mentioned on one night with our guests, right? Next thing you know, at one committee hearing, they bring it up. It wasn't something thought of. So again, folks, whatever we bring up, we make sure that we vet our information, and we're putting out things out there that's not far-fetched. We're putting things out there to save people like you, people like me, people like Mel, and everybody. Because right now, I'm going to repeat myself. I have lost all confidence in what the higher state management is doing, only because they're just winging it. It almost seems that way. And and I made a challenge to the DOH. Prove me wrong. I would love for them to prove me wrong so we can get the right answer. And we haven't gotten the right answer yet.
Well, I share your complete dissatisfaction with how the administration, the state administration, is handling this thing. But I will say, and we have had this discussion, Charlie, online and offline, that our state legislature, the Senate and the House, both sides, both parties, have genuinely been fighting for us. I mean, and if you haven't seen those committee meetings, you should tune in, because it is so refreshing to hear our representatives. And they're not fighting for their district. Each one of them is fighting for the state, for all of us. Politics is strange, especially at the state level, because of the districts and how, we're blessed to have Senator Kochi, Senate President from Kauai, but typically these guys got to represent their constituents in their district, and they'll fight for their district. But in this case, what I've seen from both sides, and I've watched both sides, all of them are fighting for the state, for the safety of our people, for the safety of the kupuna and the KK. It's amazing. And so while my satisfaction of how the governor and his cabinet is running this has completely diminished, my appreciation for the legislative branch has just grown tremendously. And I can see that in all honesty. One of the problems I see is egos. It's tough when you stand so firm on a concept in the beginning of the discussion. When the State Department of Health came out early on and told the world that testing wasn't important, that in fact this virus can only be contracted by or passed on by people that had symptoms, that had a fever, and all this nonsense. And they took a position, a very firm position, that testing was not important, that in fact the only thing that we could do to get through this was social distancing. And I was getting so irritated about hearing social distancing coming out of the governor's mouth, Bruce Anderson's mouth, and they bought into that. They I think they actually believed it in the beginning, but they took such a hard stand on that over and over and over, day after day, press conference after press conference, that even after the evidence, even after the world really, but more specifically our country, ever since it became evident that every single jurisdiction made it very clear that widespread testing and contact tracing were vital before you open up your economies, they still never changed their position, because I think because there was shame, because they had made such a strong push that the facts that their concept of testing wasn't important and it didn't do anything for the state. It was hard for them to basically say, you know what, we misjudged it in the beginning. You gotta be able to admit when you're wrong, or maybe you had relied on bad information, whatever the case is. But knowing that every single other jurisdiction believes and are acting out the testing component, and making that happen. We still sit back here today in this state and deny that and say that it's not that important. Now we get the money from the federal government. We get the 50 million bucks. All of a sudden now we're going to try and implement contact tracing, but that is the frustration, because every legislator, every senator, everybody we brought on, including Tulsi Gabbard, everyone was very clear that we needed to test. We needed to contact trace, and we still couldn't get that through the governor's head, and that was the frustration.
Well, here's a thing for everyone to consider. Now, if you looked at the headlines today about Texas that opened up, and I get a couple followers on my Facebook page, and a good friend of mine, Sam, who lives in, I believe it's in Austin. And she said the numbers are just climbing crazily. And, she said that, we're at an age that we're vulnerable. And she just wrote this to me today. And so, I want everybody to just remember one thing. When I made this statement to the lieutenant governor last time he was on, and I even brought this up in front of Dr. Miskovich, which he provided some really good information. For Kauai, I'm going to use Kauai as an example. The incubation process has been so long, nothing popped up. So we know without a doubt, Kauai is scrubbed clean, plain and simple. Because if not, we would have had numbers rising. So with that said, why not open up Kauai? But the problem is we still don't have control on how people come into Kauai. And there's only two ways you can come into the state, folks. And that's by plane or by boat. There's no other way. Texas, you look today's headline, they're climbing like up to 2,000 nowadays, reported cases. Because why? They're part of the 48 states that's connected. So they can come into that state from all different angles. New York, what made New York so bad? New York was a hub. And there was so many ways of getting into New York. So by the time people were flooding into New York, not knowing how bad this pandemic was, they were actually driving into the nucleus of where the problems was. So by the time they retreated, tiny people was retreating with the virus. Okay, they had got the virus and retreated. And that's how we can look at New York as patient number 31 from South Korea. That's how you can look at it. So for us in Hawaii, the sooner we can realize that, that's why it's so important to look at how do we stop the virus from coming in. Now you get single digit numbers on Oahu. Okay, single digits. And you can agree or you can disagree with me. But what that tells me is they're not telling us if it's travel related or if it's within the community. Why? Because if they release that information and facts reveals it's travel related, then we go back to the premise. We haven't had a rise in cases, but now we have facts to show you that again, it's coming from the outside in, right? So they're not going to release that. But if you tell us, and like it had to be revealed very, very harshly from news reporting right now, that the 3 from the housing is a community spread. So that means, do we really have it? Does Honolulu really have it under control? If those people did not come in contact with an outside traveler, it's there someplace. The good thing about it, the numbers are small, and if the contact tracing investigation is done right, it can be relatively controlled in that spot. It cannot get out of that ring. So the thing is, how do we protect the rest of the community? How do we protect the rest of the state? Everybody got to get on board with pretty much the same type of thinking, that it's going to come from the outside. Once it's planted inside, you got to be able to find it and surround it and don't let it get past that borders. And I don't think the state is prepared to do that right now. I don't think so.
Well, I know they're not. But my bigger concern really is how they're reporting the numbers. I don't trust those numbers. I'll be honest with you. I don't trust the numbers. From the first death in Hawaii, when they said that the guy was um, it was an inconclusive test, and then he tested positive, and then he died, and they tested him after his death, or they ran the test on the sample and found out it was a clerical error, and it wasn't a COVID death. To the clusters that you talked about, what's alarming is that we know that there'll be more than three. I think it's up to seven. But why know one of my friends, a bus driver, posted on his wall that housing complex, Camp 4 housing, majority of the residents utilize public transportation, utilize the bus to get around. How many of them? And again, that's where the source contact tracing it comes into play. How in the world are you going to be able to track all of the people that were on that buses that may have come into contact with one of those residents that may have been positive? It's impossible unless you post it, unless you say that if you rode Route 52 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday between the hours of this time, go get a test because there was an infected person on you. You don't have to tell them the name. You don't have to even tell them where they're from. But if you knew that cluster was utilizing that bus system, then you need to let the people know. And they're not doing that. Today, Council Member Val Poindexter from the Big Island, in her daily, she does a daily report, a post, and she said that there was a report that Hawaii had another positive, but then the Department of Health came back and said, "Oops, that was a it was a misstatement. That in fact it was a false positive, so they're not counting it as a positive." See, that kinds of things bother me because I honestly believe, and I'm not going to say conspiracy, but there is an unbelievable attempt to keep the numbers low. That is just my investigative brain telling me that don't trust these numbers because last week or the week before, remember when they said, "Oh, we had to change the number from one island to another island." I don't know, we had to take it off of Honolulu or Maui or whatever it was. I don't get it. This is 2 months into this thing. We're 2 months into this thing, and we cannot get this thing right yet. I'm confused. And so as far as the numbers, and honestly, there've been more examples that I just don't remember right now. I would have did the research if I didn't think we was going to get into this topic so deep, but it is what it is. And I honestly do not trust the numbers. I don't trust the numbers.
Well,
if you get false positives, then you probably got some false negatives as well. So it's concerning, Charlie. It's concerning.
well, today, it was a couple of days ago. If you read the headlines from Colorado, now the health department there is being ordered to change the way it's reporting COVID deaths. What that tells me is that even though it may be a COVID-related death because of the contracting of the virus, they may list it down as death due to sudden cardiac arrest and leave the word COVID out. What's dangerous about that, though, is if they're not going to practice contact tracing, then they're going to let this virus, until such time a vaccine is found, they're just going to let this thing spread. And it's going to be spreading beyond its borders. So states that attach to Colorado, they're going to have spreads there. And possibly it could be directly involving Colorado, just because the way they're going to be reporting deaths now. And that's very, very, very unsettling. Very unsettling.
Well, the way I look at it is, would that person be alive if he never contracted the virus? Because the underlying conditions, obviously, if you had a heart attack, then the doctor is going to sign that you had a heart attack. Your cardiac arrest was the cause of death. But had you not had the complications of the COVID. Or pneumonia, if you had pneumonia and in reality, you died because your lungs filled up with water and you couldn't breathe. But was that caused by the COVID? Did COVID have anything to do with it? And that is, I believe, and again, there is absolutely no proof of this, but that I think that's what our state is doing. I think our state is the cause of deaths are if it's an underlying condition, then they're going to go with that. Again, there's absolutely no proof of that, but I'm very concerned about that. You see, in New York, they changed the way. Remember when they changed the way how they reported theirs, and their numbers spiked through the roof.
Yep.
But you hit it on the head, Charlie. If it's a COVID death, then you call it a COVID death. If the person died because the COVID accelerated that death, then you better call it that, because otherwise you give the people a false sense of security, and that's what I'm concerned about in Hawaii. When we get a second wave, when people are going to be so complacent, you see it already. You see it. A lot of places, people walking around without masks. They've kind of believed that this thing has passed already, and that's not the case.
Well, I'll give you another good example. Because of the false missile alert, people now always questioning, when is it real, right? Before, you would never question anything like that. But now there's a question. When is it real? One day we're going to have a real situation. They're going to press that alert button. Some people are already going to be questioning, is this real or is this another false one? And sometimes people think they can outrun certain things. No, they can't. No, they can't. And that's a scary thing. So I know it's an inconvenience that it was false, but you know what? It's like firemen, right? Somebody put an alarm. They don't know if it's real or not. What do? They gear up for a full-on attack about fire because they're expecting the worst. Go there, it's false. Okay, you all bitch about things like that. As policemen, we should get sent to bogus calls, right? But we go in strong because we don't know when the real one gonna be. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm telling the people, hey, you got to take everything as it's the real deal. But when our state continually puts out these numbers, it's almost like the shell game. Okay, watch the P, put them under the cup and start moving it, right? And yet now we only get one cup, one P, and say, okay, watch the cup. It should be under the cup. Oh, no, it's not under the cup. Then, it gets kind of confusing, like, when are the numbers real? I guess for me, I'm saying, state, if you don't want to put out the numbers, then just don't put it out. No dango and carrot in front of us. It feels that way sometimes, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I think that has been the standard position. I think this hasn't changed, and it gets frustrating talking about the same thing over and over. You would think that by now we'd have some kind of improvements, and we just haven't. Even with the quarantine, it's they just arrested a guy on Kauai. No publicity, no media. The guy came through trying to sneak through. He got through the security. Jumped over the fence. Thank God our National Guard guys was there. They track him down, catch him, arrested him. He ended up being put on another plane and sent back home because he didn't have he had a one-night reservation. His plan was not to stay here. Not to go get a house. His plan was to be homeless here. He shipped his butt right back. No media coverage, which was kind of interesting. But I got that straight from the airport people, and I know I did verify that. So he did get arrested, and he did get sent home. It's just that it never made the papers. Dr. Miskovich is on. Doc, hey, aloha, man. Text me your schedule. We want to get you on this next week, if we can. I'm sure you got a lot of stuff to say. There's been a lot of testing going on the other islands. Thanks again, Doc. Here he is, right here. He's just commented something.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me read this. The public housing is being investigated by a team that is once again only looking for people with cough or fever. Our Department of Health has never been pressed on how do you identify the 40% of individuals that are asymptomatic spreaders. Even the family of the original positive were not tested until 10 days later.
Wow.
Doc, hey, Doc, maybe we can get you on Monday, man. I think Monday. Anyway, text me right after this, Doc. We'll talk. But you see, that's the kinds of things that drive me nuts.
You know what that says, right? You know what he just said, and I believe what he says. But here's the scary thing. 10 days later, okay, in 10 days, were you at home? Because I'm pretty sure the family didn't know they had it, right? Up until that point. So they could have been gallivanting wherever the hell they wanted to go. Now, I'm not blaming them, but I think we got to get some kind of system in place that, hey, once it happens, move. Start asking the questions. Let's get the investigation going. Let me ask you something now. What if something happened to Nikki girl and you had the police go investigate the case and they take their time on that? How would you feel?
You know,
Yeah,
Patsy, know.
yeah,
Some of these guys on the call would know. I think anybody would, any dad would feel the same
yeah.
way. You know, I tell you, my daughter did get into a situation a few months ago. I was ready to fly up, but you know what? We called the police. Well, she did. Police handled it professionally at a level where even I felt comfortable that she was going to be okay. Now that's how it's supposed to be. You know, when I found out and I saw it happen live at a press conference, when the media asked about the cluster, asked the governor. Hawaii News Now asked the governor about the cluster at Camp 4 housing. He said, I don't have any information on that. Remember, it had occurred 2 weeks prior. 2 weeks prior, when they had determined that a cluster. So I don't know what the hell they talk about when they have their little staff meetings in the morning. But if I'm the governor, I would expect to be told if we had a cluster of 3 in a housing complex. I would. And if not, I'd fire somebody. The director of health would be fired. If I get to a press conference and the media knows about a cluster before I do, my health director be fired, my PR person be fired, everybody be fired. That was the most embarrassing moment I seen for that governor. And you know what? Whether he was lying or I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is, the public was not informed. The public in Camp 4 housing was not informed. And today, I guess it was this morning, on it, I apologize, it may have been yesterday morning, they had an interview with Dr. Anderson, and they asked him about the clusters on Maui and Kona. And his response was, I hope we got it taken care of. I hope. Someone said this a few weeks ago, a week, whatever it was. Hope is not a strategy, jackass. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is hope. We all have hope. But you guys are in positions, got to make this damn thing happen. And you better stop dicking around because people are going to die. People are going to die. And we sit here watching these things develop in front of our own eyes and can do nothing about it except here, share, vent, get pissed off. But that is what's happening in our state. That is what's happening. And they better get a grip.
I want to address something. I just saw a question here. Because Kauai has, you know, as far as testing, yeah, we all want to be tested. But, you know, from day one, I've always been sounding the alarm along with Mel about testing. But I think for Kauai right now, we're in a pretty darn good position, probably a darn good position in the nation, because we've had a incubation period that's been so long with nothing festering. That's the good thing about it. And that's a really good model to have. Remember, like what Gene Ward said, hey, Kauai, you should be the model. Yeah, because we've done it. We flattened the curve. And at the same time, we've monitored it so well and incubated it that we don't have any more festering of the virus. Honolulu is a different story because they get these onesies, these twosies every so often popping up. And they really got to get a handle where it's coming from. Because that housing one, for instance, I would like to know where it's coming from. Again, was it travel related? Did they come in contact with someone that's been returning from abroad? Or is it someone within the state that had the virus on Oahu that passed it on? Now, when you investigate these kind of things, you got to go as far as you can go, and then you got to do some reasonable deduction. And that's going to leave you your answer. But right now, there is no answer. So that's why the best, you know, and you remember the report you had the other day, Mel, about Hawaii Pacific Healthcare, right? So that's Polymomi, that's Straub, that's Wilcox. Frontline workers participated, and I think it was 3,200 tests done. less than 1% showed they had the antibodies. What that means is the rest is still vulnerable.
Yeah.
But for that less than 1%, the flip side is you didn't know you had it, you were asymptomatic, you were walking around. So that's why I want to ask Dr. Miskovich, if he hears me, put it up on the screen, type in the answer. How much does it take for a person to walk around with the virus that is strong enough to be considered contagious to infect someone else? I would like to know that. You know, how much do you need of that virus? Because it seems like some people can, you know, like if they got a mild whiff of it, they seem to outrun it, right? But then there's some like, you know, that guy that we, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am so proud of the gentleman and the work that Queens Medical Center did with Alofa Nua. He, 7 weeks being in the hospital, they did a procedure, and I never heard of it before, the ECMO procedure. So it's like dialysis, but instead of taking the blood and filtering the blood, they took the blood externally, re-oxygenated the blood because his lungs couldn't take in oxygen from the ventilator. He re-oxygenated his blood and pushed it back into his body, and that's how he was able to rebuild. After 7 weeks, he was just released. So it's things like that, you know, we got to be made aware of too, because that's hope. That's a way of treating this thing. But, you know, he was a strong guy. If you look at a picture of him, he was no sloth. He was physical, but this virus whipped him down. So it's tough to make the call, you know, how much, you know, do you just get a smidget of it and it can take you down, or you need a lot of it to take you down? I would like to know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I know we talked about the testing. I just wanted to, I know somebody was asking how many tests. This is the screen right here. This is as of May 15th, which was yesterday. As of yesterday, Kauai has tested 1,689 tests were done. 1.1% of them were positive, but that's only 1,600 people were tested, or 1,689 tests were done. We talked about, I don't know when this, 2 months, right? If you're just taking 2 months, and let me get my trusty old calculator here, and you go 1,689 divided by 60 days, that's about 28 tests a day on average. Honolulu has done 22,000 tests. Maui has done 7,000 tests. Big Island has done 5,700. And I don't know what this missing is. 4,800 missing. What the hell is that missing tests? Hello. This is, but anyway, my whole position or my thing was 1,689 on Kauai since we started testing. And we can ask Dr. Miskovich when he comes on our show, you know, what that means. But, you know, when Derek was on the show, he brought it up and he said that because the state was relaxing the requirements of testing, because, you know, remember, you needed to have all of the symptoms. Really, you had to be positive. You had to have the damn virus. They had to think you had the virus before they tested you. So because they released lessened the requirements, and KVMH opened up and Kilauea opened up, and Wilcox had their testing facility, that in fact, he felt we had enough testing resources on island, but that he had the discussion with Dr. Miskovich, and should the need arise, that he would have Dr. Miskovich come to Kauai. So, you know, that's fine. I mean, that is okay. I'm just concerned that we still haven't, in my opinion, tested enough. But you know, that is just it's I guess it's working. You know, Kauai's never had a case in a long time, and so, you know, it's kind of hard to argue with factual data. It is what it is. But again, how the state classifies these tests, that's what I'm concerned about. How many of the positives where somebody said, nah, there's a false positive? I don't know. You know, I'm very, very worried about that. But anyway, I know we're running out of time already, man. Geez, this
read
went fast.
what Dr. Miskovich just posted. Try read his comment.
Good question that we are trying to answer right now. We did 100 antibody tests on the public today. on Oahu and have over 400 from the Big Island over the past few weeks. Our early numbers are 1% positive. Due to population of the state, that means 14,000 total. Oh, antibody. He's doing the antibody testing. So basically what he's saying, based on the data that they have so far, they're getting about a 1% positive result on antibody testing, which if that is the trend, then we're looking at probably 14,000 positive cases, not positive, but positive antibody cases in the state. A hell of a lot more than 639 that they're reporting every day. So we'll get you on, Doc, and we will elaborate on that as soon as we can lock you down. I know one more thing I wanted to cover real quick. Actually, two more things. Number one is on Tuesday we had the suicide awareness panel. That was very impacting a lot of people. And I just wanted to take the time right now to share that screen only because I think this is very important. For all of you that missed it, take this number down, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. If you or someone you know needs to talk to someone, if you're a survivor of someone that committed suicide, I'm not going to get into the discussion. I mean, we had a good discussion on Tuesday, but this is what I wanted to share with all of you. 1-800-273-8255. There are some local numbers, but if you call this line, you will be able to connect with the local resources as well. So, now is the time. We talked about this on Tuesday. Now is the time for us to help each other out. We can argue and we can agree to disagree. We can, vent our frustrations about how things are happening. But, we all have our families. We all have our friends. It's a tough time now because you really cannot socialize. And but you still get the phone. You still can FaceTime. You still can. And if somebody in need, make sure you reach out. If you feel any something's different with anybody, call this number for advice and lend a hand because Kauai's hurting right now. Kauai's hurting from the recent events, and we all have a little part, the responsibility, obligation to help each other out. So I just wanted to get that in before we close. And then the last thing, Charlie, and I'm going to let you start. The protesters. Somebody asked a question, all these people getting cited, the local people getting cited, they were getting cited for curfew violation, no longer the curfew, but we're getting cited for violation of the mayor's orders. You were out, you were where you're not supposed to be, you arresting the tourists for quarantine violations, but smack dab, middle of Lihui town, congregation of people, no masks, not complying with the 6-foot rule, and no one got arrested. That's a question.
Yeah.
I'll let you start with that, Charlie.
Well, I've never made it a hidden fact. And I'm going to start by saying, I repeat what I posted. And that is, as a native Hawaiian, and I'm not going to go sovereign out on all of you folks. No, that is not my whole premise. As a native Hawaiian by blood, I was born and raised here, and I love my land. Those who came here and chose this to be your home, this is now your land. And all I ask is you folks take care of it. So all I ask to these protesters, please do not put Hawaii on their banners. If they're very positive about what they're fighting for, then do me a favor. Put your name, put your home address, and be proud. Put it on a banner and show everybody, okay? Because what I don't get is the mayor implemented tough stand which yielded good numbers. He removed those stands and he's pretty much opening up everything. And they still squawking. I cannot understand that. Because remember back in the days as a police officer, when you got protesters, we know what they're protesting about, but yet there are rules, okay? We still have the rules that in open places, gatherings, right? Gotta be 10, gotta be less than 10. You cannot be all clumped in one place. You gotta have your mask on. And what's funny, and I'm not pointing fingers at our police department because I think they're doing a bang up job. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. There's gonna be a test right now because Honolulu says we don't care. If the governor's rule is no more than X amount, you wear one mask, you don't like follow, bingo, they arrest you. Okay? So, Mel, I think the question that you're asking me is, what do I think about these protesters? Everybody has a right. That's your rights, as you say. I get rights too, but I don't abuse the rights. My rights is, I don't know you, but I want you to be just as safe as me. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? And with that said, Mel, I turn it back to you, brother.
I have a right not to wear my seatbelt. I have a right to drink and drive. I have a right to do whatever I want. That's my right. But when my actions cross the line and affect the health and safety of others, then it becomes a problem. I understand what these guys are. They want everything open. They want to put everybody back to work. Like I heard you say once before, Charlie. Go walk in the middle of New York City. Or go walk in the middle of Texas right now. Go walk in the middle of South Korea where the second wave is hitting. Go walk in a hot zone and go carry your signs over there, where the chance of getting the virus is high. The first protests, they had their masks. Some of them, as they were walking a brisk walk, they took off the mask. They from what I saw, they practiced the social distancing. But the last one, nobody had masks. They all were clumped up together. I think, and I understand why the police department, they were there more for, I guess, crowd control, whatever it was. They didn't want to see any altercations. But I gotta speak up for the people that got cited because they were out after 9 o'clock. Or the tourists that went down to the store when they weren't supposed to and they got a ticket. They have the right to protest, but you understand that we're in an emergency declaration, that if you choose to go, then you should accept the fact that you're going to get a ticket. And in my opinion, they just should have got a ticket. They all should have, and they can go to court and go challenge the law and go, defend their civil rights in court in front of a judge. But as I watch them groups grow every week or every Friday, and I'm looking at, it only takes one positive infected person, asymptomatic, that could infect 3, 4, 5 others, 6, 7, that will then go home and infect theirs. And then guess what? Then we're in trouble. So for me, I'm confused. I thought you said Kauai no more virus. No one said Kauai no more virus. Kauai has no active cases.
I think
Kauai has
no active. I was just typing to her. What I meant was, because of the incubation period, my dear, for so long of a period, because they say 14 days, right? Because we had cases and it went way beyond that. We know that in Korea, they go up to almost a month, right? Well, we went up. They went up to 20 days. We went up to nearly a month and nothing popped up. That's why we know that the virus is controlled. That's one telltale sign. Because if not, then we would be like Honolulu, having one pop up here over here, one popping up, spread apart. As long as you have one pop up, then you got to really worry if you have it under control or not. So to that writer, that's all I meant. And I hope I kind of made this thing clear. Is that the period went on for a period of time that nothing showed up on the radar. Okay, nobody ended up in the hospital, nothing like that.
And I think Charlie's whole point on all of that was, once we had the no cases, no cases for that period of time, if we were able to isolate the island from any any incoming traveler, whether inter island or mainland, then you could pretty much be you rest assured that it was safe. But that is one variable that we don't have control over, the incoming travelers. And I'm not, again, in returning visitors went to the mainland, came back, people from the mainland coming here to vacation. That is not stopping. So every single day we get somebody new coming into the island. And remember, the 40% asymptomatic positives, that's 40%, 4 out of 10 people that tested positive didn't have any symptoms at all, had no clue they were carrying the virus. So anyway, can anyone be evicted in the pandemic? The governor has made a rule. He's stopped all evictions. And I know that there was one that occurred out in Kekaha, but I don't know enough of that case. It's a civil case. So I'm not sure. I watched the video, and I question why that the governor, with the governor's ban on evictions, that the sheriffs would actually do an eviction during a ban. But I don't know enough, so I really cannot comment. But it didn't look good from what I saw. It didn't look good. But as I know in law enforcement and working with civil cases and civil attorneys for over 30 years, I can tell you that you got to really investigate and take a look at that all sides of the case. But again, as far as I know this, the governor stopped all evictions. This eviction was done by the sheriffs yesterday, I guess it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, which I just didn't see the emergency or the need to do it during a period where the governor said no evictions would occur. So anyway, I'm sure that's not the last we will hear of that case. So anyway, Charles, any other? Oh, thank you. Tomorrow, Hawaii Papuana, 1,500 bentos, keiki and kupuna. Puhi Park, or the Grove Farm Park, 500 will be there. Hanapepe Stadium, 500 will be there. And Brian Baptiste Park in Kapa'a, 500 bentos there. Again, only for keiki and kupuna. And they have to be in the car. And you will get your free, it's from 10 till 12 tomorrow. So Patch and I will be at Grove Farm Park. If you guys want to come by, say hello, please. There's also a program called Grad Cap. I just got the email. It was from Gina Kaulukukui, and it's a program that is trying to get a graduation cap and an ukulele to every single graduating senior. I believe there's like 7, I forget what the number is. It's a lot, several hundred. I think it was 700. But the email didn't have a link or anything where you could make a donation. What they're asking for is if they're suggesting a donation of $55. $55 will get the senior an ukulele, a real one. They got some amazing sponsors that's gonna offset the price. So $55 will get them a brand new ukulele and a graduation cap. And the program is called Grad Cap. Again, as soon as I get the information, I'll post it on my page. Hang on. But that's going to be an awesome program. I can honestly say I will sponsor a couple of those kids. I think that's awesome. And then Kauai Cookie and Halau Kale Mokehana Olena Ala, Somen Sunday and Hanapepe. Free bowl of somen noodle salad. Drive-through pickup at Kauai Cookie Factory tomorrow from 4 to 5 p.m. Free bowl of somen noodle salad, compliments of Kauai Cookie and Halau Kale Mokehana Olena Ala. Hanapepe, 4 to 5 tomorrow. Awesome. Here you go. Whee! 60 and over, Larry. Actually, I think it's 18 and under for the Papuana one. It's 18 and under and 65 and over. So no try cheat, people. And really, honestly, we only get 500 each location. If you don't need them, no go get them. But if you no be shame. Load the kids in a car, load tutu, and go get some free bentos. And I tell you what, it's spam, Gothenburg, egg, rice. It's like real. It's amazing. So tomorrow, 10 to 12. Charlie, I got
Yes.
scolding. I'm not gonna mention from who, but I got scolding that for the last 2 nights we never flattened the curve, bro. And anyway, I'm not gonna mention names, but some people got offended, like
Yeah.
truly offended.
Wow. Well, I'm afraid that when I go back and play at Calaheo Steakhouse, I'm gonna start singing flat, and I'm gonna get a hard time correcting myself.
But you know what is nice, Charlie?
Yeah.
Now, I can sing with you guys. If we go flat, I can join you guys group.
Well, the good thing is we gotta sing with mask on, and I'm gonna blame the mask. How's that? Yeah.
That'll work. That'll work. So anyway, everybody, I think we're taking off tomorrow night. Charles, are we taking off tomorrow night?
Yes, we are.
We're gonna take off and spend some. We're gonna make another steak for my wife tomorrow night in my Ninja Foodie. I think he's awesome. We'll be back on Monday, and
Don't forget, try to get
but,
up.
yeah,
What
check
we're
it.
trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, we are trying our darndest to get one of our guests on is none other than Major General Kenneth Hara from Haima. He's the COVID response guy that you've seen on the news. And I really want him to come on, not to pick on him, but just have him tell his side. Because there's two sides to every story. So all this disaccord, we are trying very hard to get him on. And also down the line, when he feels much better, we are going to try to get on Alofa Nua, the construction worker that went through 7 weeks of hell, but he beat COVID. And I talked to his family, and the family would like to participate in. So all of you out there can know what he went through, how it started all the way to the end. But we're going to give him time to recuperate because he was just released from the hospital yesterday, and he's still on oxygen. So when he no longer has to use that oxygen, they feel it's going to be in about a week. Then we're going to bring him on, and we'll let you folks know. And you're going to hear it firsthand from one of those individuals that fought a hard battle, 7 weeks in a hospital, fighting this COVID. And he left yesterday.
Hey, don't forget, guys. Well, we still get you on. What the heck? We say 15 minutes late, Charlie.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Don't be a doodle boy. $15. This ain't gonna last long. Ukulele. $15. Send me the. Oh my God. This is my nice ukulele. See that nice curly core? Ooh. Hey, send how many shirts you need? $15 a piece. Send me your sizes. I'll send you the pay link. We use PayPal or Venmo, preferably Venmo. So tomorrow night, you guys all enjoy your Sunday night with your Ohana, and we will see you guys on Monday night. And hopefully, Dr. Mitkovich will sign on for Monday night.
Yeah.
Charles. Tomorrow night, day off. Monday night, 7 o'clock, same place, same time. Thank you guys. Enjoy your Sunday. See you guys on Monday night. Aloha. God bless you. Love you guys.